Hello Internet! Welcome back to yet another Speedpaint. I'm Zenjimini, and I'm still figuring out what the hell I want to say for my intros. Anyway, so this is a file I've had sitting around for a minute now. I think like 2 months, but hey, that's besides the point. So this is a speed paint of a full page of my Pokemon Mystery Dungeon webcomic, PMDETU, aka Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Exploration Team Ultra, aka everything I name ever is a fucking mouthful. Just kidding. Actually, my titles tend to be pretty short, but that one's long for some reason, and I know the reason is literally just because Pokemon Mystery Dungeon is in the title. Whatever, it does not matter. So yeah, I wanted to do a full speed paint on the process of, like, doing a whole page, and, this is the page I decided to do it for, kind of because I wanted to, like, spend a lot of time on that bottom panel, honestly, because I knew it was going to be, like, a cinematic shot kind of thing. You can see me drawing an entire Houndoom there, and then being like, no, that doesn't look good. I was using some photo references of like an actual dog running for both of these poses, I believe. I don't know where those are anymore. I think I just had them open on Google or something and then just like closed them because I wasn't like directly referencing, and as you can see, the pose I ended up with is very, very loose anyway, so I don't really think it matters. I know I wanted to put multiple Pokemon in this panel. I ended up with Houndoom, Ralts, and a Tailo. Whenever you see a pause in these, it's probably because I was looking up a Pokemon. I wanted it to be Pokemon that you can naturally find in Tree Shroud Forest, which is the area that the characters are talking about here. And Houndoom and Ralts are two of those. You can't find Tailo, though, there. Surprisingly, I think there's no bird Pokemon that naturally spawn in Tree Shroud Forest, which is a little silly to me, but whatever. So I was like, I'll throw a Tailo in there, that makes sense. Maybe when the characters visit there later, I'll call back to the Pokemon choices made here. Probably not, I might forget. Who knows? It's gonna be quite a few chapters before the characters actually go to Tree Shroud Forest. I think that's like 20 chapters into the game. It's very close to the end of the game and the midway point of the comic, but I digress. This is my first time ever drawing a Houndoom. I like how this turned out. Foreshortening is not my best friend, so I think it was a little funny on proportions. The head's quite big. I don't know if I ever resized it. I don't think I did. But I like how it turned out. I got a couple compliments about the expressions, which was what the main thing I was like trying to get right, so I really appreciate those. I kind of wanted to do like a fight, flight, hide kind of thing, like the Tailo and the Ralts are like hiding, you know, like the Houndoom being the scared one is the fun part because it's such a like intimidating looking Pokemon, and then Tailo's just trying to get out of there as well, but like he's not like as like super frightened. I don't know. I thought it'd be fun to play around with like different Pokemon having different personalities regardless of what species they are. I just think that's fun. So here we've got Chatot, who I always draw way too big when I first draw him, but I always have to resize him because I'm like, he looks a little bit big on this panel. I decided to use Corphish for this particular panel just because I know he's a Pokemon I'm not going to use very much. I don't enjoy drawing a lot of the guild members. I will not lie to you. Loudred's kind of a pain, Corphish is a pain to pose mostly. Bidoof is easy, Chimecho's easy, Sunflora has taken I think 7 years off my life every time I've had to draw all of her damn petals. But overall, I think it's fun that they used Pokemon that aren't like super popular for like whenever they do a Mystery Dungeon game, they like make some other Pokemon endearing, and I think that's fun. Like, obviously Grovyle's a bad example of this because he's a starter, but like the middle stage evolution was a fun choice because like I didn't give a shit about Grovyle until I played PMDETU, and I know in like Gates to Infinity they've got like the Timber and some other weird Pokemon choices. I think there's like a Dunsparce and an Emolga, and then like obviously Explorers has the guild members, and like the shopkeeps tend to be a little strange choiced, like Electivire, who by the way, this is from the previous chapter of ETU, chapter... See, you know, I spend so much time drawing these and I don't even know what chapter they're from. I think it's chapter 3. I think it was chapter 3. I think I'm on chapter 4. I've been drawing a lot of Electivire, and you know what? I take back every bad thing I've ever said about Sunflora. At least Sunflora is, like, only a little bit taller than my main characters, which are a Pikachu and a Riolu named Hester and a Morris. So she's not too bad, but Electivire is, like, tall. Especially compared to these Pokemon that are 3 feet tall. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know how to put you in this panel without you looking ridiculous. In a lot of the panels, he just looks like somebody's uncle. And, like, I finally feel like I've got the knack for drawing him, and I just finished the part of the chapter where he's there. Same with Marowak. As you can see, this is where I'm starting the coloring phase. Line art generally doesn't take me very long. The thing that definitely takes me the longest when it comes to my comic pages specifically are sketching, the sketches. I used to do, like, Sketch Monday, Line Art Tuesday, Color Wednesday, Shading Thursday, Text Setting Friday, and any effects on Saturday. But now I've kind of combined coloring and shading into one. Not because it takes less time, but like I like having 2 days for sketching. Although right now ETU is not really on a set schedule. I kind of want to get it back onto one, but we'll see. This video is sped up by 4 times, by the way. This whole page, I believe, took me somewhere between an hour and a half and 2 hours. Now, this is a page full of, like, Pokemon that I've not drawn before, that I had to, like, pick my colors for and stuff like that, and pages that are, like, just Hester and a Morris talking back and forth usually don't take nearly as long to draw. But, you know, like, it just depends on what's on the page. If there's a bunch of buildings, it's going to take longer. If there's a bunch of Pokemon, if there's, like, this page where there's, like, a scenic shot, it just really depends, and obviously it's like I want to make my pages visually appealing, but also I don't want to take 3 hours to draw one page. I also generally don't draw my pages like this, in this order at least. Maybe, like, when I do a speed paint like this, I'll definitely, like, draw it all at once, just because that means less editing for me. But generally when I work on ETU, and you'll probably see this in other speed paints, because sometimes I just leave my tabs open on Metabang, generally, when I work on ETU, I'll have 5 pages, which will usually be the pages I'm either posting that week, the next week, the week after, whatever it is. And I'll do all the sketching. Well, I do all of the storyboard for the chapter, right? So, Chapter 4, I did all the storyboards, which the storyboards are the basic drawings that you see at the very beginning of this video, for example, where they're not even really sketches. It's just me showing what characters are where and who's talking and saying what. In like the page format. So I do all those at once, and usually that takes, I don't know, a couple hours. I've never timed that. And then I'll open 5 pages, I'll sketch them all, and then I'll line them all, and then I'll color them all, and then I'll shade them all. You know, like, I'll usually do each step in a batch of 5, because it's easier for me, and I do believe it is quicker as well. But I have no proof of that, I just have a feeling. It's easier for me to do everything in a batch, so I do 5 sketches, then 5 line arts, and again, usually these are on different days, and I try and do, like, a warm-up before each. Yeah, by the way, I spent all that time coloring these Pokemon just to, put a filter over them, but I think it looks better because I did it that way. I did a very simple forest background here. I didn't really want to do a whole lot, because again, the focus was the Pokemon, and I think at this point I was like, am I shading this panel? And I believe I did decide to shade this panel. Yeah, regardless, I usually work on ETU in batches. I do have quite a few people ask on the blog, usually on Tumblr. I don't get as many questions on Comic Fury. But on Tumblr, people ask a lot, like, what's your process look like? Here's your process. I will be linking you this video when you ask it. And not saying you can't ask, like, it's fine. It's totally fine. I don't mind repeat asks. I think it's annoying when, like, comic artists are like, oh my god, how dare you ask me this question that's been asked before? It's in my 32-page FAQ. Why didn't you read my FAQ? And I'm like, buddy, just, it's fine. And most of the time it's kids. What does annoy me, there are things that annoy me when people comment them. Mostly my biggest pet peeve with my comic is when people offer unwanted criticism. So mostly for me, this is typos. I make a lot of typos. I had one person send me an ask that said, like, well, it's clear that English isn't your first language. Fun fact, I only speak English, so, but, typos annoy me because it's like, okay, well, the main thing I'm focused on is the art and storytelling, and if a typo ruins that for you, then maybe just go read a published book instead of, like, go read, like, something else. Like, I've paid $400 for a textbook and had typos in there. Like, unless you're offering to pre-read every single one of my comics for typos, in which case, go for it. But you're going to have to tell me before I post it, and you're going to have to be my personal private editor, because, I don't know, there's just something annoying about, like, here's this really cinematic shot I did, and then all the comment says is, wrong there. At least comment on the art, too. Like, be like, oh, this is pretty, I just wanted to let you know that you spelled this word wrong. I wouldn't mind that so much, but it's always just like, yeah, this word's spelled wrong. Okay, fuck off. Sorry, but that is a pet peeve of mine, for real, for real. And as you can see here, I have completely blasted past coloring, as I was complaining about pet peeves. But I'm just doing some word bubbles in Speedpaint Studio. Yeah, that's what it's called. I don't like the word bubbles in Metabang. It's kind of a messy process. I'm not gonna lie to you. I usually do my storyboards in Procreate on my iPad, and then I do my sketches either on my iPad or on Metabang, and then I do all the rest of my art stuff in Metabang. Like, I do the comic outlines, the coloring, the line art, the shading, most of the effects. It just depends on what it is. I do all that in Metabang, and then I bring it into Speedpaint Studio to do all the speech bubbles, because I don't like the ones that come in Metabang. I don't think they look as good, and the tool's a little more annoying. But I don't like the comic outlines from Speedpaint Studio, and I don't like drawing in this style in Speedpaint Studio. I do use Speedpaint Studio when I do, what would you call it, like, rendered painted things is usually when I use Speedpaint Studio. I don't like Metabang as much for that. Speedpaint Studio just has a lot, and I think that's what this fucking program's called. I keep calling it that. Clip Studio, whatever. There's no paint in there. But I like it for the brushes and all the tools, and I've never used it for animation because I don't really animate, but, like, yeah, they're all good programs for different reasons, and as somebody who has used so many different programs for so long, I can't just force myself to use one at this point. I'm like, oh, well, this one does it better. And I know I'll have to, like, switch my recording setting around and everything, but it's fine. Anyway, so this has been a progress on a whole page of PMDETU, which I will link in the description if you're interested in reading it. If not, totally fine. I posted on Comic Fury, Tumblr, and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, PMD. Hold on, let me actually get the name of this website. I've done this twice now. It's like PMD Fanfiction is, like, literally the name of the website. PMDfanfiction.com. Those are the 3 places I post ETU. I don't generally post it to my main accounts because it takes up my entire fucking gallery when I do, and I don't like it. But yeah, I'll put some links in the description if you want to read it. If you want to see more comic pages drawn like this, let me know. It is a bit more of a pain to record, but if you guys like them, I will record some pages here and there. I might record some pages, like, of my other comics that I'm working on as well, but we'll see. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you have any questions or suggestions, I don't take requests, but I do take suggestions. You are free to leave them in the comments. If not, that's okay. I hope you have a good day regardless. Bye!